Hello, this is Blue Star, Defender of Equestria, and this is my next Focus On video, The Royal Guard in Season 7! Yay! The Royal Guard have definitely not been given a lot of love by both the fans and the show because they've either been defeated or embarrassed and just, you know, it's like it would be nice to be able to win just once. We have feelings too, you know, and that we can't actually do our job, so However, the good news is in Season 7, there actually were a few of these moments where the Royal Guard actually show that they do care and that they actually can do their job effectively, and I think that was really cool. And there was even a few nods to the military veterans. Pharynx and Spearhead are definitely the kind of guys who, you know, were sent overseas or served in the military for a while, then they came back, and then, you know, they had to readjust to civilian life, and I thought that was really cool. And in some ways, this actually deserves a whole video in itself, but since I'm not actually a member of the military, I'm not really qualified to make such a video. So I think I'm just gonna say that it was really cool that MLP did do almost a little bit of a shout out to the military veterans and the military bronies. I think that was so cool, and I thank you very much, Team MLP, for giving a well-deserved nod to our military veterans. And once again, thank you to all our military veterans. Thank you for your service. Yo! Now, moving back to the Royal Guard in Season 7, there weren't a lot of moments for the Royal Guard, but the ones that there were definitely counted. And one of the things that I really appreciated, that the Royal Guard were actually allowed to do their job. Whereas in previous episodes, like It's About Time, Pinkie Pie, Spike, and Twilight sneak right past these guards and none of them even notice them, and even this one guard walks right by them and is completely oblivious to them, and it's kind of sad and it's almost insulting. I do have to say, it is pretty funny though. My thought on why this guard just walks right by them is that he probably notices them and says, "Oh look, it's just Twilight and her friends. Okay, not a problem." But it's still kind of disappointing and like, man, come on. Kind of also reminds me like in Equestria Girls, where the long story short is, you have an entire organization of ponies whose one job is to protect the princesses, and there's only one guard just walking around the hallway? Come on, there should be at least one guard in front of Princess Twilight's room. She's a freaking princess, for crying out loud. If there's one thing that the Royal Guard are supposed to do, it's protect the princesses, so what gives? Okay, Blue Star, breathe, it's okay. It all had to be done for the sake of the story, because this isn't about Sunset Shimmer getting past all the guards. That's not the point of the story. The point of the story is Sunset Shimmer steals the crown, and that's the point of the story. They're not trying to make this 5-10 minutes about her somehow overcoming the guards. But still, this has happened so many times to both the Royal Guard and the princesses. They've had to been almost tied up and shoved into a corner or not allowed to actually do their job. And it's happened so many times, it's honestly very disappointing. So, it was actually kind of nice that in a royal problem, we see a guard basically doing his job. He's just standing in front of the door, making sure that Starlight Glimmer's okay, that nothing happens to her, that she's okay. I thought that was nice. I mean, yeah, it's a little thing. It's really not that big of a deal. But I still appreciated it, especially since the Royal Guard is actually paying attention. At one point, he hears all this commotion inside the room and knocks on the door and asks, "Are you okay in there?" Because if there is something going on inside, he better go open that door and deal with it. In previous episodes, they may have just simply, you know, not had the guard do anything and just simply sit there, just say, "Oh, he didn't hear." But no, he actually was listening. He did hear. He did what he should have done. He checked that the pony that he's protecting is actually okay. At the same time, this is kind of strange because while long-range communications are not common in Equestria, they're not unheard of either. So it's not entirely unreasonable to think that this pony could actually be talking to some other pony somewhere else. But even in our modern age of all our modern communications, if you heard somebody talking apparently to themselves on the other side of a door, you might think they were crazy too. So... And sort of tying into that is that something I also liked is that they show that they do care. Like in Celestial Advice, the two guards are basically watching Princess Celestia freaking out in front of them, and they go and turn to each other and say, do you think we should say something?" "No, I don't think so." And I like that. It shows that A, they're paying attention. Granted, it's kind of difficult to ignore something like this when it's happening practically right in front of you. It shows that they care. They could just say, "Oh, the princess is freaking out, whatever." Because I would think that most ponies that came upon the situation would probably at least want to say something to the princess. I would want to walk up to her and say, it's like, don't worry, princess. I'm sure it'll be okay. I'm sure whatever you decide, it'll be all right. Oh. But it did show they're actually concerned about Princess Celestia's well-being and her feelings and all those other things too. But then the Royal Guard decide that it's not really their place to, in a way, intervene in this moment because they're the Royal Guard. They're not the royal therapists. It's their job to really worry about her physical health and her well-being rather than her mental health. But it was still nice that they were allowed to show that they do care. Because when I think about this, it's like, they didn't even need to have the guard here, much less give them this moment. They could have just simply not even had the guard in the background. Instead, they actually had the guard here where they're supposed to be, which I think we've seen in several times where the Royal Guard in theory should be standing at the side of the throne, but they're not. But in this scene, they actually were standing there, and they were also given this moment to show that they do care, and I thought that was nice. Of course, we can't forget the story of Flash Magnus, which was an awesome, heroic story! Yay! It wasn't technically about the Royal Guard, more like the forerunners of the Royal Guard. But I still thought it was really cool to see a group of what are effectively military ponies allowed to operate in a military way and actually being really effective. They took on not one, but 2 dragons and were actually allowed to prevail. Yay! And the best part was, it was in a very military heroic way. We must save our comrades! And it was all heroic and it was intelligent. It was just awesome and it was just so nice because the Royal Guard have previously been either gotten their butts kicked or have been mysteriously absent and basically not allowed to do anything heroic or anything. But I'm glad that here, at least the forerunners of the Royal Guard got to actually show that they can fight and they can be heroic and all this stuff and actually do the job that they were trained to do. And I thought that was so cool. So, yo! So again, the Royal Guard didn't have a lot of moments in Season 7, but the ones that they did have were really cool and awesome, and I definitely appreciate it because it shows that they can actually do their job and that they're not just mindless, emotionless ponies that just sit in front of the door, because it's like, we have feelings too, you know, and of course we care about the ponies that we're trying to protect, and we want to do the best that we can because it is our job to defend not only the princesses, but Equestria itself, and we shall do so to the best of our ability. And I'm glad that the Royal Guard were given just a tiny chance to show that they actually can do those things. Who knows? Maybe we might actually get to win a fight for once. Nah, probably not, but I can still dream. So that is the end of my video on the Royal Guard in Season 7. This is Blue Star. Stay strong and pony on. Blue Star out.